Hello, folks, and welcome to yet another edition of the Bibs Corner podcast. This is episode 35, just rolling along here. And I actually didn't watch any movies this week, but I do have some announcements with some format changes. So stay tuned for that. I'll get into that in just a second. If you are a person who listens to the sports stuff as well as the movie stuff, then you know my last episode, or last episodes, because I did a bonus release, was with a gentleman named Reese at Twitter at Mind of Reese. And part of the conversation that got cut out, we started talking about podcasts because I am new to the whole game, basically, not just recording a podcast, but also listening. So I have started listening to podcasts, but I didn't have any real movie podcasts that I was listening to. So he did recommend one to me called Double Toasted. And over the past few days, I've listened to a few of their episodes, the more specifically the movie review related ones. And it was funny because one of the ones I listened to was their review of I'm Thinking of Ending Things, and it was hilarious because their review was very, very similar to mine in the sense that they addressed all the things I addressed about how the car ride portions of the movie were trash and impossible to enjoy, and then the portion in the house was the most exciting or the most entertaining portion of the movie. And then the fact that the conversations between the two Jessies, Buckley and Plemons, the two leads who were in the car, when those scenes were basically just them two, were just so high level and literary, and like they made the same jokes I made about the snobbery and how critics and film school students will love the movie, but the average viewer, most people that are trying to watch a movie for entertainment purposes, are not going to enjoy the movie. So it gave me some validation, first of all, on that. But in listening to them, I also had another idea, and this is something I kind of been thinking about anyway, and just really was trying to figure out how to do it. So I think I have that answer now. I'll get into that after the break. But yeah, stay tuned for that. I'm going to keep this one short, actually. I'm not going to sit here and talk for 30 minutes if I don't have to. So quick break, and then I'll come back and get into some updates, and then I'll get into the movies this past week, how they did, and then I'll go over some upcoming movies as well. So stay tuned. Be right back with you. Hello again. Welcome back to the Bibs Corner podcast. I am your host, as always, Mike Bibbins. That's at Bibs Corner for the sports and at Bibs Film for the movie news. Again, I did not watch any movies this week. It's been an interesting week. I'm trying not to get too deep into my personal life, but there was a major loss in the family. One that is hitting very hard personally, if I can admit. So I've had to make some adjustments to my schedule to kind of make sure I'm taking care of myself. With all that said, because I said I wasn't going to get into all that on the podcast, I'm trying to keep that as close to the vest as possible. But basically, instead of watching movies and doing the weekly review for this week, I want to get into some things that are going to be changing going forward. So as far as the movie side, I've been trying to figure out ways to not only increase the number of views. That number has actually gotten pretty steady. It's about half of what the sports side is doing right now as far as like regular views. But I started thinking about, I'm learning how to do this podcast game. I'm learning how the podcast game works. And one thing that is important is replay, not necessarily replay value, but the ability of people to go back and listen to old episodes and getting that those residual streams. And so with the way I've been doing the weekly movie recaps, I'm not setting myself up well for those residual streams. I think the first one I did was a week I watched 5 movies. So it's a podcast with 5 different movie reviews in it. And so if you wanted to see one of those movies and you wanted to see, hey, what did Bibb say about this movie? When you go to that episode, you can't even see what movie I talked about in the title, first of all. It's in the details, but you wouldn't necessarily see that. I know I'm lazy. When I was looking through the Double Toasted episodes, I didn't go into the details. I just looked for the title. If the title didn't say a movie name, I just kept scrolling. So, and then the other ones where I do, let's say, have just 2 movies, so you can see the movies there. Even when you go into the episode, you don't know when I'm going to start talking about that particular movie. I did put that in the details for some of them, but not all of them. But then who wants to skip ahead 15 seconds, 30 seconds at a time, trying to figure out when I start talking about the movie you care about? So, with that said, going forward, I'm going to do individual episodes for any movie that I watch. So, for example, last week, instead of waiting until Sunday to review Tenet and I'm thinking of ending things, I would have done the Tenet episode either Monday or Tuesday after I saw Tenet, and then I would have done I'm thinking of ending things Thursday or Friday after I saw that movie. So that just makes more sense to me to have the episodes individualized based on the movies. I didn't commit to that up front because I felt like, I watch a lot of movies sometimes. A lot of movies. Like every now and then I'll just have like a weekend where I just watch 5, 6, 7, 8 movies. That's been slowed down because sports are back. But the NBA playoffs are about to end, and I don't really watch football like that. Ever since the whole Kaepernick thing, I kind of had gotten out of it. And then when I tried to come back, the game just seemed so much more brutal than I remembered it being. And so it's been really hard for me to get back into football. I watch the Ravens whenever they're on TV. I keep up with the games. I've been forced to maintain my fantasy league that I've had for 13 years during all of this, so I somewhat stay abreast of who the players are and all that, but I'm just not into it like I used to be. You never could have told me this back when I was in college, but you grow, you get older, and you grow and you change. So once the NBA is done, I'm going to probably get into some draft stuff and stuff like that, but I'm going to have a lot more time to watch movies. So there's probably going to be a lot more movies I'm going to be watching. I need to catch up on some of the great movies from early in the year. So again, individual episodes for the movies. That's going to allow me to keep those reviews 10 to 15 minutes long at best. So then if you need to go back, if you're at home on a night and you're like, you know what, I'm looking at this movie, I like Bibb's opinion, let's see what he had to say, you'll be able to pull up that episode, 5-10 minutes, you'll be able to tell whether or not you want to check that movie out. I'm still going to do the little elevator review, like I said. So what I'll probably do is in the cold open, I'll give you the 15-30 second review, which definitely 100% not going to have any type of spoilers type scenario, so you can even just listen to that and to make your decision before you get to the ad, all that good stuff. And then after the break, I'll get into the details. I try to avoid spoilers regardless, but when you're getting into a detailed description, it's hard to avoid not giving some stuff away. And if you're like me, you don't want to know anything. I'll cut a trailer off as soon as I know whether or not I'm into the movie. Just so I don't know. So I know as little as possible going in. So again, individualized. And then I'm still going to try to do something on Sundays. So I'm probably going to turn that into more of a recap of the big movie news for the week. Box office information if it's important. And then I'll get into movies that are coming up this current week, where their reviews are standing if they're already out. If I've had access to that movie and watched it, I'll maybe give you an idea in that little summary. So again, still going to do the Sunday summaries, but each movie is going to have its own episode as well. And I'm just going to keep rolling like that. So Another thing that allowed me to get to the point where I feel like I can do that without becoming overwhelmed is that there was an app called Stardust, and I was really excited about it when I found it because it would allow me to do little video reviews and kind of build my content out that way. But I think like right after I got into it, some type of partnership issue with Twitter to where when I did the videos and I linked to Twitter, it wouldn't post the actual video. You had to like click the link and go to Stardust. It's the same thing that happened with Twitter and Instagram where the deal didn't work out, and so Twitter doesn't allow the videos to post directly into the app. So this is basically just me doing that. I've gotten very comfortable with the podcast format set up and recording, so I'm excited about that change. I'm hoping to see the benefits of that long term, and hopefully you guys like that short term. And of course, if you ever have any suggestions, ideas, comments, etc., always feel free to hit me up on Twitter at Bibbs Corner, Bibbs Film, or at MBibbs even. Any of my Twitter accounts, always a good place to hit me. Email is the second best. I have like a contact form on the website, so feel free to send me stuff there. My email does get loaded very quickly, especially if I lose track of it for a couple of days. I'll have a lot of stuff to go through, so the best place to hit me is always going to be on Twitter. That's where I spend too much time. So with that said, I can move into some other stuff here. First off, the box office situation I've kind of been paying attention to, just kind of figure out how theaters are operating, with the limited capacity and some people being wary of going to theaters. And then some places, I think New York and California still have not opened theaters. So that's the big issue. I know Tenet did $20 million upon release, which, I thought it was pretty decent, but apparently their budget was quite ridiculous. So it's going to take them a lot of views to catch up, and they're not going to be able to catch up until some of those states like New York and California do open their theaters. So going to be interesting to watch. This week they actually only did like 6 million, which I thought was interesting. They still led the box office with 6 million, so people did go out to see Tenet in higher numbers than they had been going out to see movies. But huge drop off immediately, down to 6 million. So that's 26 million domestic, basically. I think 29 is the total when you look at it. So they're probably going to need to stay in theaters for a long time and hope that things change quickly over the next few weeks and months. Next in the box office was New Mutants. Unhinged, a movie I still haven't seen yet, was number 3. And then number 4 was a new release this week. I mentioned it last week on the podcast. The Broken Hearts Gallery with Billy from Stranger Things and Geraldine Viswanathan from Bad Education. Again, she stood out in that movie for me. So I am interested in seeing the Broken Hearts Gallery, but I'm trying to take my time going to these movies, trying to figure out what's going on with these theaters, if people are going to get sick in them, etc. and so forth. Again, that movie came in 4th and only made 1.1 million. So it's rough out here for theater owners and etc. I personally would love to own a movie theater someday, and now is not the time. And maybe after the pandemic clears up, maybe it would be a good time to purchase a theater for the low. No comment on that. We'll see what happens. As far as the upcoming movies that are coming out this week, there are a lot of interesting ones. Very high level. I'm not going to get into the details, but first movie is Alone, which is a mystery / thriller. It has 100% rating on Rotten Tomatoes right now. I'm actually going to check while I'm on here with you guys just to see if that's changed. Let's double check. Alone. Yep, still at 100%. Opens on the 18th. Not any real big names on this cast that I'm looking at. I see Mark Menchaca. He has a familiar face, but I couldn't tell you what I've seen him in. But basically, the description: a cold-blooded killer hunts a widow in the wilderness after she escapes from his remote cabin in the Pacific Northwest. So that just sounds intense. A lot of running through the woods in the dark and stuff like that type of thing. And the guy who I recognize, he looks like the type to play probably the killer. The next movie on the list is The Nest. And that's another mystery slash thriller. That one actually features Jude Law, who had a rough showing earlier this year with, what was it, the movie with Blake Lively, The Rhythm Section, which looked like it was going to be good, but it was not. The Nest is an entrepreneur and his family begin to unravel after moving into an old country manor in England in the 1980s. And that actually sounds like The Shining. That one currently has an 85% rating on Rotten Tomatoes. Again, mystery thriller. Jude Law, Carrie Coon, and Charlie Shotwell what movie was he in? He was in one of those horror movies last year. Eli. I actually enjoyed his performance in that movie. So that's another interesting one. The third movie on the list coming out next week is actually Antebellum, which is a movie that had a lot of hype early in the year, or last year maybe even. There was some controversy around the script maybe being stolen. I'm not going to get into all that. But it's the Janelle Monáe movie that you've seen advertised for what feels like forever. Successful author Veronica Henley finds herself trapped in a horrifying reality that forces her to confront the past, present, and future before it's too late. And again, this is a horror mystery thriller. I'm hearing some terrible things about this movie, actually, from people I respect in the industry. It currently has just a 33% rating on Rotten Tomatoes. The consensus, I'm going to read it. Antebellum fails to connect its images with any meaning, making for a largely unpleasant experience, lacking any substantial scares. So basically, people's looked at it as kind of like a torture porn type scenario, and like I've seen people say, like basically Janelle Monáe goes through a lot of crap, and you don't get a lot of meaning behind it. It's just putting her through the ringer to put her through the ringer type of thing. Yeah, so that's why the reviews have been pretty rough, and it's actually disappointing. That's actually an Amazon Prime movie, so unlike these others, you will not have to brave a theater to see it, but unfortunately it's the one with the bad rating, so that's something to keep in mind. The other movie, and I actually just realized I put Antebellum on here twice, so I need to erase that. The other movie that is coming out this week is actually coming out on the 16th. These other movies are coming out on the 18th, which is Friday. But this movie's coming out on the 16th. It's called The Secrets We Keep, and it's actually Joel Kinnaman and Noomi Rapace. I don't even know if that's how you say her name, but she's been in a lot of stuff. It's another mystery thriller, which one of my favorite genres personally. It says, in post-World War II America, a woman rebuilding her life in the suburbs with her husband kidnaps her neighbor and seeks vengeance for the heinous war crimes she believes he committed against her, which sounds pretty intense. This one does not have a consensus rating yet. I don't think it even has any reviews, so we won't know anything about that until it actually comes out. I believe, again, it's going to be in theaters. It has a online video release date of October 16th, so I'm not sure what the deal is there. But again, it feels weird not having seen any movies this past week. I'm not sure if I'm going to watch any this week either. I have to do some traveling this week, and I am going to need distractions, but I'm not sure if movies are going to be the way I'm going to go. So if you tune into this episode, thank you again. I've tried to kept this about 20 minutes, so I'm actually proud of myself. But looking forward to these changes and hoping to see some payoff with the changes, with viewership. And I don't know, with school, I feel like I've gotten into a good rhythm with school as well. So I was worried about that with keeping up with the podcast, but I don't know. I feel like I'm in a good place, feeling productive and trying to get things rolling. Life happens, we adjust. But I think that as far as trying to keep up with the things that I've put on my plate, the obligations that I've committed to, I feel like I'm in a good place, so I'm excited. Yeah, that's pretty much all. I'm gonna stop rambling now. Check in with you guys next week again on a movie summary tip. Hopefully, we'll have some actual movies to talk about during the week. We'll see. In the meantime, peace.